It has a unibrow.
You know, we just did a big red 4-door GM, and that thing was awesome.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Junkyard Digs. Today you join me, Mook, and this 1968 Pontiac Bonneville in an old barn somewhere in western Iowa. This car has been sitting right here since 1975. And today, we're going to throw it on the trailer, drag it back to the shop, and see what it takes to put it back on the road for the first time in 48 years.
Is that our oldest revival?
It might be. I don't know. Either way, let's get started.
Oh, wait. Oh, it's not a postcard? Nice. We like that.
So, as stated, this is a 1968 Pontiac Bonneville. It is a 4-door, but it's also in really good shape. We got a little rust right there in the fender, a little bit of surface rust here, but honestly, for an Iowa car, I will take that. That's pretty darn good. Most importantly, though, it looks really straight. Let's take a look at the interior. How bad do you think it's going to stink? Ooh, hello. That is a very clean interior. There's not a tear in the seat. The headliner's great. The rear seat looks awesome. The dash doesn't have a single crack in it. Holy cow. Okay, we're 2 for 2 on red 4-door GMs being excellent inside. It really doesn't even stink in here. It kind of still smells like new car. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we're not going to be able to work on this here this weekend. We're going to throw it on the trailer, and alongside that, the car was parked due to mechanical failure. Supposedly, the story is 1975, the car dropped a lifter or a valve or something, and they pulled it in here to work on it, started on it, and never finished. So with that being said, we could spend a whole weekend out here working on this, but I don't think, from the way it sounds, we have a motor that's very happy regardless. So we're going to throw this on the trailer and take it home. Let's make that happen.
Well, several years he drove it back and forth to work in Omaha.
Okay.
And used it, he also did part-time as a mail carrier.
Oh. This probably got some miles on it then. It's really clean inside. I would have never guessed. Let's see, 45 years. Hey, something tells me we're going to have some stuff break. I can't even find the Schrader valve on this one. There he is. This thing is buried. We can't show it very well, but just wait till you see how dirty the driver's side is. It's insane. There's no tire on this side, so I'm going to try to lift it from the frame. Let's see. Look at the taillights on this thing. It's so cool.
Yeah, I love those taillights.
Straight car, too. Uh-oh. Jack's out of oil. Little maintenance on the old jack here. That can't be all the higher it goes, right? Let me get a couple blocks under here to set the car on so I can get the jack under the axle.
Oh! You okay?
Yeah. A little too much oil, I guess. Is that Valvoline? Okay. I don't know if the winch has got the balls for this. We'll see. Alright, attempt 1.
She's definitely buried.
Yeah, it was in a hole. I can't believe we got to move.
Jeez.
That might be enough for me to pull the truck forward though and drag it the rest of the way out. I'm going to drop it and spin it around.
Okay, pull her as far as you...
Yeah, we'll see what happens. sat next to a oil can on the shelf or something. Pretty straight car, honestly. The paint's not even that bad. A little rust in the fenders, but I'll take that. That was good. All right, let's strap it down and head east for once. Here we go, Mook. It's moving again for the first time since '75. That is crazy. I just realized something. Remember that Olds 98 we just did?
Yeah.
That car was sold new from the lot the same year this car went into a shed.
This car was relatively new when it went in the shed,
It
too.
was 7 years old. I looked at the odometer. It said 11,000, which was 111,000 because he had a mail route and he drove all the way to the other side of Omaha. Dude put 100,000 miles on a car in 7 years. At least I think. I don't know. It is really, really clean. Like, the interior does not look like 100,000. So we'll dig into it and find out. But from the way the story sounds, it's definitely rolled over. All right, 2.5 hours home. Let's do it.
Yay!
2.5 hours of driving on Iowa's roughest roads ever. We've arrived at the shop and pushed the car over here with flat tires. That was a lot of fun, huh, Mook?
Yep.
It's time for the big reveal. Let's give this thing a bath. I'm really excited about this. Soaked dirt. So hard to get rid of. And this does nothing. Nothing. It's like oil, just straight oil. What is this? So damn cool. That's my favorite part of this car, is the tail light. Okay, obviously this is going to take some time. We barely made a dent, and I've spent like 20 something minutes on this side, so I'm going to knock this out, and we'll be back to see a rough finished product. A more maroon colored product. Back in a bit. Ah yes, another day, another disgusting car. So as you can see, over the weekend this dried and this is what we are left with. As you can also see, I've gone to the store and picked up some Comet and a sponge, and we're going to attempt a Comet wash to try to get all this stuff off. It's something I've never done, but something I've seen work quite well on the old episodes of Roadkill. So let's get the garden hose and soak this down and give it a try. Real quick, I'm going to pop in here and add a couple things in post about using this Comet on a car. As you can see, that yellow sponge I've got sitting there has a Scotch-Brite backing, and I use it on one little spot as a test, and it scratches the hell out of the paint. If you guys are going to do this, go down to the dollar store, get a normal sponge and some Comet. It'll cost about $5, and I'll show you here in a second. What you want to do is make a slurry with it and use that to kind of wet sand. If someone has used rattle can paint or primer on your car, I'm sure you could use the Scotch-Brite side to actually take that off, but whatever is going to be revealed is probably going to need wet sanded and then buffed to make it any kind of a shiny appearance. Just use a normal sponge for this stuff. As you can see, this side is done. It has come out excellent. That's actually the dry appearance back here. I mean, it still needs buffed, but it's like that good. I think I'm starting to learn how to use this a little better. You don't want a lot of water on your panel. You just want your panel damp, you know? Then you're gonna get your Comet in here, and a little goes pretty far. And then with that just damp panel, you're going to want to make this little slurry I got going on here. And that slurry's got a lot of abrasion in it from the dry powder that is Comet. And it is going to act as a super, super fine wet sand. And what that super fine wet sand is going to do is help you break through that oxidization layer better than you ever could with just normal soap. As you can see, I'm just going to work that through here, and I can feel it's grippy. It's like dragging the sponge. Then as I work it thinner, and it breaks down even finer, and it starts bringing the oxidization off, just like polishing, it's going to get slick, and it's going to get easier to move. A good example is this fender right here. You see how much rust is on there? Well, this one looks identical. As I kept moving that abrasive material through, it took that whole layer of rust off for the most part. Little spot I could work right there, but that versus this is incredible. And it's okay if it kind of dries to the surface, because your first rinse isn't going to do shit anyway. It's just going to move that bubbly layer off. You need to come through with the sponge and the hose at the same time afterwards and rinse as you wipe, and it will get rid of all these streaks and leave you with a nice finish like that. So yeah, a lot of elbow grease, a lot of time, but it makes a very good finish. I'm quite impressed. Wow. Just wow. Look at that. The Comet, especially after I learned how to use it correctly as an abrasive like I showed, did an incredible, incredible job. This car is not buffed. It still needs buffed really bad, but look how shiny this thing is. Now you get up close, you can see the paint is still very oxidized. There is still rust, there is still stains, but there's a bit of a reflection there. This is probably the best starting point you could ever ask for buffing a car, which we are definitely going to have to do on this thing. I mean, look at that. It takes a good bit of elbow grease, but it cleans up chrome really nice. Like steel wool nice. It's not as fast as steel wool probably is, but it is arguably less messy. I did try that one spot with the Scotch pad side. Definitely have to fix that, but I'm not too worried about it. The rubbing compound should take that out just fine. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. Oh, yes. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Alright, let's get this sucker inside and up on the lift and see if we even have an engine that spins now that it's probably the cleanest car I own. Alright, the Bonneville is inside. It looks great. Me and my infinite wisdom, somehow I never thought to wash the engine bay. So now it's in here on the lift with flat tires again. And I still have all this, and it stinks where it's gotten wet up there, specifically I think over there. So let's take a few minutes here with the vacuum and take care of some of that. Also, just noticing this is an AC car, but everything is missing, and that is sad. Actually, no, I take that back. Most of the stuff is here. The compressor and a couple hoses it looks like are missing. Might still be able to work with that. It'd be really cool to have AC in this thing. Alright, Operation Suck has concluded. There's a bunch of poop up here. The whole shop kind of stinks, but the car smells better. So, still need to get in there and wash all that out. I have discovered a couple things. One of them, under the giant nest here, a battery cable. That's pretty cool. Gonna need one of those. Stands to reason. You might want to know where the other one is. Well, join the team. Oh wait, here it is. Ta-da. Sweet. Now, one fun thing about this car, as you can see, she's got the lid flip going on, so clearly she was making some power. Oh, wow. So much crap that was in here. That looks really, really nice. All right, so like I'd said in the beginning, this car was parked because it had a valve train issue, supposedly. As you can see, this valve cover has already been removed. That was not me. Oh, there's still oil sitting down in there. This thing looks really clean. I think I found our problem. I did. Huh. Where did you go, little guy? Where's the rest of you? Fortunately, inside the car there's this bag in which we have a brand new push rod, a brand new lifter, and a brand new rocker. Yep, there we go. So hopefully all we need to do is throw that new push rod in there. So much like a Ford, Pontiacs do shit right. They use a big old 15/16 bolt down on the crank pulley so you can actually torque on that and spin the motor over. Oh. Well, not looking great. Am I surprised by this? No. Do I still have the right to be disappointed by it? I'm going to say yes. I'll go with no. Well, that's a big no. Good news though, on two fronts. One, this is a jam, so we can pull the bottom inspection cover off the TH400, get in there with a pry bar, much like we just tried to a couple weeks ago in that Blazer video. This time, it's not stuck from being underwater, it's stuck from sitting for time, and we should be able to get this to spin again. If that fails, the other good news is I have an entire driveline for this car in the shed. So let's pop some spark plugs out of here, fill them with oil to let them sit overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what happens. Alright, so as you can see, we've got the spark plugs out. All of them look pretty good. Really no issues there, except for the front one on that side. This guy here has seen better days. If I had to guess, I'd say that's our problem child, but regardless, every cylinder on the motor is going to get flooded with penetrant. Let it sit overnight, and then we can come back in the morning and try again. And just because we have some valves exposed, because it could also be a stuck valve that's holding us back. That's something to keep in mind. But since I got some exposed, might as well hit them too. Alright, so it's been a day and a half. This thing's been sitting with PB Blaster and a whole can of Seafoam Deep Creep in it. Before I go straight for the throat and go for the flywheel, let's just throw this on here, see if anything happens. Does not appear so. Yeah, she's still pretty damn stuck. That settles that, I suppose. Up in the air, let's get the cover off the transmission and go tooth by tooth. We're not done with this 400 yet, and one of the main reasons is being a 68, this will still be a pretty spicy motor. It should be like a 10.5 to 1 compression, so could be pretty good. Alright, there it is. Thanks to Ben Pack, she's up in the air. And check this out. Look at the metal in this car. There's still paint on the floorboard. Remember, this sat completely buried in dirt, and there's just no rust to show for it at all. There's not a hole. Look at this. This is just dirt. That's just gravel dust. This makes the Oldsmobile 98 we just did look rusty. This thing is phenomenal. Probably absolutely the cleanest underside I've ever got in a car from Iowa. So that's awesome. With that being said, our exhaust is rusted off. As you can see, it's seen better days. It's completely wrapped around the axle. We've got baling wire holding it up. We've got a bunch, and I mean a bunch of grease on the transmission. My God. So definitely all signs of 100,000 miles, not 11,000 miles on this car. He drove the hell out of it in 7 years, that's for sure. All right, let's get this inspection cover off and start wrenching it over. All right, welcome to the torque converter. We've got this inspection cover off. Here is the torque converter. Here's our ring gear, which looks like brand new. That's weird. We're gonna attempt to get a pry bar right here and go tooth by tooth and rotate this motor. I can put way, way, way more torque on it this way than I ever can from the crank bolt up front. GMs are the easy motors to get unstuck simply because this exists. Whereas Fords, unfortunately, cannot get to the ring gear at all with the transmission on. So if they're stuck, good luck. Oh, Jesus. Oh boy. Exhaust is in my way, which really it's kind of missing already. Should I just cut it off? Oh, okay. Okay, now that I can get to this guy. Can I get him to go the other way at all? Okay. Back to this side. Also, when prying off the starter, you want to pry it up, not left or right, because those bolts are vertical. I need a bigger pry bar. I wasn't asking anymore. Hey, there it goes. You see it move? Oh wow, that like literally just freed right up. And there you go. That is how you unstick a GM. Roll it back this way a little bit. Work on getting through that one sticky spot. Okay, we're back in the stuck spot. Let's actually do this a little different. Let's go try to do a full rotation on this side. It's a lot easier to turn. Oh, there it goes. You just got one, feels like one bad spot in one cylinder. Probably that number one on this side. Oh yeah, I hear a piston in there going squeak. Come on, break through that rust. Oh, that just got hard. Let's go back. I hit it again. Okay, back into the sticky spot once again. See if we can make it even farther this time. Rinse and repeat. Oh, I think we're going for a full rotation here. This one was pretty easy. It only took one back and forth. Granted, that back and forth sucked, but she's going. Was sailing right past that time. Now I'm sure the rings in that cylinder are not going to be happy until we get a few heat cycles through this, but the motor is officially free. Well, that's how you do it, folks. Get a good leverage point on it. Right here was the best one in my case. Get it to move a little bit and just keep going back and forth and run it into the spot it gets stuck, back it up, run it in, back it up over and over and over until you can push that rust out of the cylinder and that piston moves freely. And you will have full rotation. At this point, let's go ahead and put this down on the ground, throw a battery in it, and see if it spins itself. If I had to guess, that battery I put in is like dead, because that's, for no spark plugs, that should be going way faster than that. But either way, hell yeah, we got ourselves a motor that spins, and it honestly doesn't even sound bad. Like, I don't hear a struggling cylinder. It sounds pretty consistent. So let's get a bore scope, take a look at the damage that may have happened to that lifter, see if we are going to be changing a lifter. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a push rod and a rocker, and go forward from there. Alright, this sucker's finally charged up, and right there is our lifter. As you can see, it doesn't take a brilliant man to notice that lifter doesn't look quite right. If you look just to the left, there's the lifter cap. That is now in two pieces. This is what it's supposed to look like, that cap sitting in the center with a little retaining clip holding it in place. So I'm assuming this thing probably popped out when it was running and the oil pressure blew it out. I don't know. What I do know is that ain't gonna work, and we gotta figure out how to get that out of there. I highly doubt I can do it from above. I probably have to pull the intake and pull the valley pan and get into this motor. Okay, time to get our intake off. Step one, we need to dig out the screws for our distributor cap. Actually, on a Pontiac, I don't have to do this, which is the cool thing about these cars, these motors. But I'm just gonna get these plug wires out of my way because I can. The less stuff I got in here, the better. Gives me a chance to clean everything up, vacuum it out better, and just less chance of dropping shit into the motor. Another cool thing about the Pontiacs is they have a factory air gap, by which I mean it'll be easier to demonstrate here in a bit, but the bottom of the intake is not the top of the valley where the lifters and stuff are. There's a plate down in there to keep all that hot oil off the intake. They actually run cooler this way, make a little more power, and it's easier to do stuff like this because I can change intakes without removing the distributor or opening up the motor. But today we are here to open up the motor, so it's all got to come out. Get this wiring harness up out of the way. You come unplugged. You're already unplugged. You're the AC kick. Temp sensor. Just lay him out of the way. Throttle return spring. Ouch. It bit me. Belts and hoses, even though they may work, are something you're going to want to replace because they will blow, and they never do it at a convenient time. This last weekend I drove the Delta 98 from a previous video all the way to Chautauqua, Wisconsin, 5.5 hours each way. And somewhere around Mason City, I blew a belt. And I had previously blown a belt on the AC the week before. Thankfully, that AC belt was still turning the water pump, so I was able to limp it on the battery all the way to an O'Reilly's and throw new belts on. I've ran old belts before and never had a problem, but that made me rethink it because literally all 3 belts in that car exploded within, I think, the first 400 miles. So now it's got all new belts, one at a time, and I'm sure the next thing to go will be the radiator hoses because these are also made of rubber and they've also been sitting for a really long time, so it's worth replacing those. With that being said, I can't get this damn thing off, so out comes the knife. Very nice, great success for PCV. Weird spot on these, it's in the center on that valley cover. Alright, there's all the things off. Get the vacuum, clean this up, and start pulling bolts. Alright, she's all cleaned up. Time to get in here and get these intake bolts out. And to do that, keep them all organized, I'm going to be using the Bolster. This is a silicone bolt organizing mat. These come with a 1-year warranty. They are heat and chemical resistant. I absolutely love these. They kick ass. Their honeycomb shape allows you to take bolts out and then recreate whatever pattern it is that you're removing them from. Say a water pump, for example, you got a whole bunch of random length bolts. Well, you can draw out the water pump on this mat. And as you can see, I broke out a new one today because the other one is still holding parts from the satellite build that I need to finish. And that's another great feature I love about these. If you got a few of them, you put all your bolts in it, and if you need to set a project aside for a while, just go like that. All the bolts stay in it, you throw it on top of whatever motor or throw it in the car, and all that stuff still stays in that pattern forever. Alongside the large one, they've also got this little contractor version where you can stick screws and drill bits, and it's got a magnet in it, clips right on your belt, and the big tabletop tray version, which holds a bunch of shit. Beyond all these, they do have a bunch of other stuff that I don't even have here yet. They're constantly coming out with awesome new products, and if you want one for yourself, we're going to help you out. Go to bolster.com/JYD20. There's a link down in the description, or use the code JYD20 at checkout. Get yourself 20% off. 20%. That's the biggest discount a company has ever gave to Junkyard Digs viewers. 20% off, bolster.com, JYD20, and get yourself some of these awesome silicone mats. With all that being said, let's start using this sucker and pulling all these bolts out. Forward, center, center, rear, and the last one, which is being a little stubborn, the other forward. All right. Okay, you undoubtedly heavy bastard. Yep. Oh. There's a spacer that's probably been missing for a long time. So like I said, this is an air gap intake. As you saw, the intake just came off, but our valley is still completely covered and everything is sealed up. Pretty damn cool. Vacuum time once again. Holy shit. That thing looks brand freaking new inside. Oh, there's a retainer clip. And the little washer guy. Okay, so it's all here. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Come on. Sweet. That actually went really well. How's our cam lobe look? That's the other thing to consider. Seeing that there's no damage on this side, I bet it's just fine. Oh yeah, he looks just fine. Alright, throw a new lifter in there. And this is done. God, that went way easier than I was anticipating. No, you know, hang on. Let's get some assembly lube in him. Next up, new push rod. How do you look, sir? Yeah, you're pretty chewed up. We're gonna replace you as well. As you can see, he's seen better days up there, so we've got a new one, might as well put it on. I'd be dumb not to. Huh.
I think them are loose.
I think you're right, Mook. Valve train was the weak spot on a Pontiac. At this point, I will go through and actually set preload on all these properly, because, I mean, obviously, not very happy. Right, Mook?
Very bad.
Very bad. It's been a long while since I worked on a Pontiac, and in that time, I forgot, these don't actually really have adjustable valve train. There's a shoulder on the end of these studs, and essentially all you do is, you know, set it on there and run the bolt down, and then tighten it to like 16 foot-pounds. And that's what I've done. What's happening here is this one is on the base circle, and this one's being lifted. Same with back here, this one's on the base circle, and this one's being lifted. There's not really much I can do about not really much I can do about that, but that's pretty bad. You can pull them out and put Chevy studs in and make this all adjustable, but these are also hydraulic lifters, which will pump up when we get oil pressure and hopefully not make a bunch of noise and go flying out again. We'll find out. Is it worth putting Chevy valve train in here while I'm here? I don't know. I don't even know how healthy this motor is. Shit, it was seized a few days ago. Alright, our new gaskets have arrived. I've got this cleaned up. All our surfaces are ready. I'm not going to do the full RTV proper sealant on this because this is all temporary. We're going to come back later and clean all this up and paint it, get it looking good, kind of spruce up the engine bay. That'll be probably the same video where we do all the exterior stuff. Today, just trying to get this running right now. This car definitely deserves more screen time than what I can give it in just one vid. Alright, let's get some bolts in that. This gasket needs to go down. That looks good. Alright, she's sitting pretty. Let's get some bolts in it. Alright, so as you can see, it's been a little bit. I finished up the plug wires, sanded the points, sprayed the top of our carburetor off with some brake clean and threw it back on. That thing looks incredible. It does have a reman sticker on the back, so it's probably pretty fresh. And it's a quadrojet, so as much as we might dislike them for their tuning, they run forever and they're immortal, and it'll probably run perfect. I don't have the boat tank here right now. I gotta run home and grab that, but I do have some brake clean, so let's spray a little in here and see if this sucker makes noise. I have no idea if it'll turn over. The starter didn't seem super happy without plugs in it, so this might be a quick no. I do have the belt off right now so it doesn't spray water all over because all the lines are off and it's dry, so I don't want the water pump to run because there is liquid in it. So you won't be able to see anything spin, just a little bit of shaking and probably some smoke. Well, she tried. She tried just a little bit. A lot more juice this time. We got one enthusiastic cylinder in there somewhere. I've recruited the Mooks of Hazard to climb in there and turn the key for me. Thanks, Mook.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. What's going on here? There we go. Hit it again. Stop. Stop. That's just not gonna do it without a full battery. I'll let it charge. I'll go get the gas can. Alright, we got our fuel pump hooked up to a little external tank I got set over here. Let's crank her a bit and see if that pulls fuel. We also have a supposedly full battery, so we'll see how that goes. Just trying for a couple seconds, but not really getting anything. Still nothing in the gas line, not yet. I didn't get one of those starter buttons. I think I got like 5 of them laying around. Oh, that was actually running there. Come on, you can do it. To life with ye. Man, it gives me like one where it tries and then it won't. Come on, girl. Ah, you bastard. Ah, it literally fired for a second there on that one go. It had the good pop, spit, bang, and now it's just back to being a turd. Battery charger says the battery is full. Starter and engine say differently. There you go. Come on. Oh, there's a little fuel over there. Come on. Come to life. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, so this is the point of the bucket, to catch all of that so I don't dump that straight into the carb. Remember, that fuel pump has been sitting with crap in it for 48 years, so you want to flush that before you run any fuel into your motor. In all actuality, you're going to need to change your pump. It might work for a little bit like this one, but chances are in the first 100 miles or so, or less, it's going to finally break that diaphragm that is hardened and has been sitting like that for 48 years, and you're going to lose your fuel pump when you're driving somewhere. They're not expensive. They're a few minutes to replace. Just throw a new fuel pump on. With that being said, I don't have one here, so I'm just going to see if I can get this to run. The accelerator pump works. God damn. Come on, you son of a gun. I don't know if that's the battery. Ooh, that is a warm positive cable. There's an even warmer negative cable. I should probably clean some terminals. Alright, come on, you son of a gun. Is this thing locking up on me right now? It doesn't sound very happy. That much I do know. Thing is, when this usually happens, it's like, oh, it spun a little bit and then it's stuck. I've never seen it slowly die like this. See the battery dying, the starter dying, the valve train getting sticky. I don't know, it's hard to say. Big world, a lot of smells, and a lot of them smell like hot wires. Alright, so from what I can tell, our motor still turns over just fine. He's happy. Our starter, however, has seen better days, those days being anything prior to today. Yeah, that's not what that's supposed to sound like. I have never seen that before. Alright, let's see if we can find a new one. Alright, it's been a little bit. I've got a new starter on there. Let's go ahead and hook up our fuel source. Getting pretty good fuel coming out of this side, so I think he's ready to go in place. As you can see, this thing has been quite reluctant to come back to life, and it's been fighting me pretty good. And I think that's all because I don't have enough speed in the motor because of that bad starter, and without speed I can't build dynamic compression, especially on rings that are probably stuck like these. So I need that piston speed of the piston flying up and down the best I can get it to build up enough compression to light this thing off. Once that happens, it'll start moving oil pretty good and get the valves and everything happy. Probably burn some carbon, reseat the valve seats. It's gonna run like crap for a bit, but hopefully she should come to life. Let's find out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that crank's way better. You just can't do that with new shit, and even if you did, it would never be that cool. There's a lot of out noise. I mean, a lot. Holy shit. I think you heard what I heard, and you guys want to be down here. That was a light show. Hopefully great. Now that we got ourselves a running motor, I'm going to throw some air in these tires. We're going to roll this sucker outside because I want to flush out the cooling system with the garden hose really well before I button all that up and seal it off. And I want to pressure wash the engine bay, get a bunch of shit out from under there. Then, hopefully, I can take my happy ass for a little cruise around the parking lot. Alright, there we go. We got 4 tires with air, they're all leaking, but they got air. Here we go. First time in 48 years this car's gonna move under its own power. Hopefully. Alright. Oh shit, it works. Holy hell. We're moving. I don't have power steering because I don't have a belt, but it's doing it. Oh, I obviously don't have brakes either, believe it or not. And drive. Look at that. Holy hell. That is freaking awesome. I don't know, did I ever check this? Oh, hell.
Said it as president many times.
The AM radio works. You got dash lights? We do. The rheostat for the dimmer even works. Holy shit. Wipers? Oh my god. Oh, nope. System off. System on. That's freaking awesome. There's the fan speed low, 1, 2, 3 high. This thing is gonna be so nice when it's cleaned up. Like, it is fantastic in here. The interior in this thing is right in line with the car we just did in the last video, that Oldsmobile 98, which was 100% pristine inside. This one's 98 because there's a little crack right here. And these door handles are missing, but they're just in the glove box, I believe. All right, let's get the garden hose out and flush the system because I'm losing light. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I took this intake out and flushed it out with a hose, and it was full of rust. It was really bad. So let's get him filled up. Ew. Cooling system pulls from the bottom, goes through the block, up in the back, forward through the heads, out here into the top of the radiator. Set that there. Turn that on there. Light it off. See if she pumps. Crystal clear water coming out of the block. That's what we want to see. I know that block is nice and clean in comparison to how it was anyway, so it's not going to immediately jam up any water passages. And the radiator, especially if I threw a new radiator, or when we throw a new radiator in, so that's just a quick preventive caution. Something to do even if you have a car that you drive around. Pop the hoses off and flush that out once a year. Alright, let's get this sucker inside for the night. You know what? I'll take that. That ain't bad. Engine bay cleaned up pretty damn nice. As you can see this morning off camera, I grabbed the pressure washer, soaked everything down with the greaser, and hit her for a little bit with the old water wand, and came out pretty damn good. I definitely missed a few spots. Need to get the steering box, all that back there. Probably needs a whole another round of degreaser and stuff, but for now, I'll take that. It definitely stinks less finally. Either way, let's get some new hoses on this thing, get some water in it, and get it ready for a little test. Alright, new radiator hoses are on, getting this sucker filled up. I'm just using water now because I will either flush this again or change to an aluminum radiator. We'll see. On top of that, I'm going to top off our brake reservoir. We do not have brakes, but there is fluid in this front one, so it's not leaking. It is sealed, whether that's sealed right here because it's like rusted or sealed down the wheel cylinders, I don't know. I don't expect them to work, but we'll get in there and pump it a bunch, see what the hell happens. It's been a couple minutes. I don't want to say I have brake pedal feel, but maybe there's a little something there. Let's drop her in gear. Oh! No way. I won't call them brakes, merely just a suggestion to go less fast, but the freaking brakes work. Holy shit. Let me back her up. Like barely, I mean barely work, but they might slow us down a little bit. Good call, radio. Why not listen to some Dio after a successful test like that? Alright, let's take this sucker for a drive. It's right to life. Running better and better. And speaking of better and better, our brake pedal is getting more and more feel. Alright. No power steering because I didn't have a belt. But she's doing it. We're in gear. Oh, we have like brakes. Holy shit. You're telling me this sat for 48 years, I threw some fluid in it, pumped it 100 times, and we can lock the tires up? On asphalt. Holy hell. This thing just wants to be back on the road. I'm not sure what the transmission's doing though. Okay, manual second. No. Pretty sure the vacuum booster's hooked up. I made sure of that. Granted, I never looked below. Maybe the hose has been eaten off from the bottom. That's a ton of RPM for not moving. Does this thing got spicy gears in it? Wow, those brakes work really good. Okay, take those off the list. They're fine. Jesus. The open exhaust makes things a little confusing. It's hard to tell what RPM you're doing, but it really feels like it's slipping or got like 456s. Like, let's get on it. It don't run good. It's far from running good, but it is running and it is driving. Holy crap. It did not love that. Regardless, she did it though. She did a lap around the block. So there you have it, folks. Back on the road for the first time since 1975. Our 68 Pontiac Bonneville, sitting for 48 years, came to life and did a lap with working brakes, which completely blew my mind. The brakes only work in the front. It runs like crap. There's no fuel system. The interior is still filthy. There is plenty left to do, and I intend to do all of it to put this car back on the road, looking and driving as nice as I can for very little money, as is the Junkyard Digs way. If you guys want to see that, make sure you subscribe here to the channel if you're new. Otherwise, stick around and we'll see you then. I will say I've got rims and tires coming for this. The rims are on back order until the end of the month. So yeah, we're going to find a new project for next week. What's it going to be? I have no idea. You'll have to tune in to find out. Until then, stay greasy out there. We'll see you next week. Peace.